welcome. It's a great privilege and a great honor for me to bring you another episode, another day of our intermittent fasting challenge, and another live stream where we continue to discuss this topic that we have been doing 30 days of intermittent fasting challenge. And today is day 13. And so we are coming online today to discuss something very different, but today is a special day because I get to be joined with a special person today. And it's so much of my delight. My first gentleman to host on this stream. Yeah. And a very good and dear friend of ours. A little bit of a story how my friend, I don't want to say his name in a minute, he will introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself, how we came to know each other. Yesterday we were here and Abby was talking about competition versus comparison. And she said something that really touched me. She said, Claire, competition is okay because you need something to help you work on, but comparison is a killer, kind of, so to say. And I was thinking about how my dear guest today and myself came to know each other. It was basically through some of those competitive moments. So I was at the gym I kept on going to the gym for classes, and I seen this guy. I don't know why the gyms decide to put mirrors everywhere. So when you're exercising, you can see somebody in the mirror and see, and you're like, he's really giving it his best. So I used to see this guy and I was like feeling so like upset about it because it's like, why is he doing so well? Why is he doing so much? He's really so, so every time I'll see, I'm like, I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try be like him, kind of that kind. And then after gym, I'll just look and I'm like, oh well, he's doing his stuff, I'm doing my stuff. And then one evening, I bring my son to the gym. And then for some reason, my son gets like notices this guy, and then they start talking. And I'm like, oh, and I say hello, only to realize that he's actually a Kenyan like me. And then the rest is history. We became friends, not just friends, but we are now family friends. He's a dear, my son calls him uncle. He's a really dear uncle to my little one. He's a good family friend. We used to go to church together when we were in Coventry and the rest. So before I spoil alert anything, good evening, my dear friend.
Good evening. How are you?
I am well, thank you. And you, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good to see you. So, before I say anything about you, would you like to tell our viewers who are you?
Um, my name is Kevin Omondi. A young gentleman, single, not married. I'm not
Ladies
searching.
out there.
I'm still young. I'm not searching.
Spoiler alert.
um, I'm a student at Cove Uni. I'm studying Bachelor of Arts and Media and Communications.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm a Christian. I've known God since I was born.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm also a sports person. I do
Mm-hmm.
athletics, running. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kevin.
Wow, Kevin. And so you've just talked about so many different aspects of yourself. You are a Christian, you are a student, you love sports, and for sure it's through sports amazingly that we came to know each other. And as I said, it was through the gym that we came to know each other, and now we are quite really good friends. I just wondered, Kevin, if you just talk to us a little bit about your journey to where you are. You can start maybe in education if you want, or you can start with your sports if you want, wherever that you want to focus on, and then we'll try to chime into that as we continue.
Well, with education, I started school. When was that? I don't know. In Kenya, we start school after 3 years. So when I was 3 years,
Mm,
I joined nursery school. I studied nursery school for 3 years. Then
mm-hmm,
after that, I went to lower primary. I did my lower classes, then went to upper primary, did my
mm-hmm,
KCSE, passed well, then went to high school, secondary school, then
mm-hmm,
still in Kenya, then in high school, I did well, then moved to the UK, and in the UK, then I joined Cove Uni, where it's where I am right now, where I'm studying.
mm-hmm,
With sports, I can say since I was born, in back home in Africa,
mm,
as a kid, when you just grow up and you see other people playing, so you like join them. So you're
Yeah.
among that kind of those active kids who like playing. I did all kind of sports as a
Mm,
child. Like
mm-hmm.
if people are jumping, people are running, just want to do everything because you want to like associate with everyone, and
Yeah.
it brings that sense of unity among kids, and it also
Mm-hmm.
helps the child develop so well. So
Mm,
with that, then I remember back in in primary school. Now, funny enough,
yeah.
I can't say that I was sorry to say this. Can't say that I was fat, but I was among those big guys with a big
Really?
body in our class. So, like, it was really funny. So,
Yeah.
then we had actually a sports day in our school. So I
Yeah.
had not compete. I was not doing any competition in that sports day because, like, ah, no, I can't do this,
Mm,
because you're among
mm,
those like you feel like, I know this is it's gonna be hard. So I
mm,
remember then we were put three guys who are big like me. We were put to
mm,
do 100-meter sprints. I remember I was second because the
mm.
guy behind in front who was I passed started pushing me behind so that I don't pass him. So like, okay, then just go. Then I became second.
Yeah.
Um, After that, I went to high school. Now, in high school, there's this time, actually, high school boarding schools, there's
Mm,
this time where, like, after classes, before you go for supper, that
mm,
period of games, you do games, then go take shower after that. So with that, I just started developing myself. So I would
mm,
just like, start engaging with some little sports, uh, activities,
mm,
functions, even as a student leader, um, just engaging in small activities. Uh, I had not put so much concentration into that then by then, but I
mm,
used to like have inter-house competition. We call them
mm.
DOMs. So
Yeah.
inter-house competition in high school. And so it was really good representing your house, the house that you used to sleep in. So
Yeah.
that's the competition is. So in that inter-house competition, it's like they used to select the team that will go and compete for the school in the
Yeah.
counties. Then if you qualify for the counties, you get the regionals. Then regionals, you get the nationals. Then it could go further to an East African competition, but I never reached
Mm,
that level though.
mm.
So just engaging in that inter-county, so inter-houses, inter-house competition. So you like enter all events because you want to do everything. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing track more than field because like, oh, field is much okay. I can't say it's hard, but you're just thinking of if I jump my body, the gravity will pull me down, and then like track, you're running on a flat surface, and oh, this is a flat surface. It's only
Yeah.
I need to just need to do the right thing, my
Mm,
techniques, and what's the form that I need to have so that I can push forward. So I can't say that in high school I also really concentrated on it.
mm,
Then moving forward now, after I moved to Coventry now to the UK,
mm.
I just stayed because I still had to know how things are going on in the UK. You can't just go somewhere
Absolutely.
and then you just start doing things, yet you don't know how things are other place. So
Mm,
in 2022, if I'm not wrong,
yeah.
uh, during the Commonwealth Games, I became really inspired because like, okay, these people are running just the same way I used to run in school, and they're running so well, and I'm really happy for them. So I'm like,
Mm,
okay, I also want to do running. So I remember this time we were at the stadium in Birmingham, Alexander
mm,
Stadium in Birmingham,
mm,
and then after the evening events, we were coming home. So we were after chasing the trains because that time we were working on the train. So it was my brother and I. And I
mm,
remember we used like to do like walking competition, then a little bit of rest, walking competition, then a little bit of rest, so that you see who could get on the bus. Then I remember
mm,
these just a random man. I can't remember his name, but if I'll ever meet him and remember him very well, I'll really say
mm,
hi to him. He saw my brother and I are doing those kind of stuff. Then he's like, oh, he was with us. So actually, the surprising thing is that he was sitting next to us in the stadium. So he
mm,
said hello. So he saw me with my Kenyan flag cheering Kenyans who are running. So like, okay, that's really good. Then he said hello. So I didn't put that much concentration because it's people that we just met for the first time. So
yeah.
afterwards, after leaving the stadium, and then he was still with us. So like my brother told me is he's the man that he met was sitting next to us in the stadium, and he was cheering us and helping us with all stuff. I was like, oh, this is really good. Then he's like, oh, are you an athlete? And then I'm like, not really. I'm not an athlete. I don't do any kind of athletics. It's like, oh,
Mm,
you look really good. Maybe you can go into it. I'm like, oh, I used to do it in high school, but I've not put
mm,
so much concentration into it. Then like, oh, you look really good. Maybe you can go that way, and maybe you can figure your way out, and maybe one day we'll see you running in the Commonwealth Games. Then I'm like, okay,
mm,
this looks very good. So like, really became motivated. So by that
mm,
time, I had not known about any clubs. So like, oh, what's I've been looking for clubs actually. There are
mm.
clubs around this place. Then I remember him telling me, he asked me, where do you stay? I told him, we live in Coventry. Then he's like, oh, there's a club called Coventry Godiva. You can go there and maybe it's a really good club. Then that's when I came home, looked,
Mm,
did research about Coventry Godiva. Then from there, I made a call over there. Then I met my coach. Is actually the one who received the call. Then he
wow.
booked an appointment with me. I went in for the first session. It was great. The second session and the third session, I just blended in well, and it was really good. That's how I started my journey into athletics.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful story. Like from being probably almost on the fence, on the edge, going like me and sports, we are not friends,
Yeah,
into
it's not my thing.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, now into being into like these trainings and being having a coach yourself. And it's such a really beautiful story. But then when you think of thinking back through all those journeys, I usually say people can say they're coincidences. I say they're God incidences, that you see the fingerprints of him working behind the scenes, even when you didn't really think you will see. Maybe who I mean, how many people were at the stadium with you guys? So many
There were
people.
lots of people. Yeah.
And the fact that this guy just calls you out and says, are you an athlete? And you're like, nah. And then he goes like, well, you have the form. And then one thing leads to the other, and now we're talking of how many competitive sports have you been involved in since then?
Um, After I joined, so after now, actually, I can say it's now a year because I joined last year in September, like
Mm,
really into it. So it's been a year. I did the whole winter season with them. So cross country, I've done lots of cross country. I've
wow.
done road races. Actually, during that time of spring, I can't say I was really okay because I came time when I was sick, so I didn't do so much road races.
Mm.
But I've done track as well until when we are now almost coming off season, we take a break, then go back into it.
So if somebody is watching this the first time and they have never run and they have never watched a running competition, what's the difference between a track, a race, and I mean all these things you're talking about? Can you just break them down into like small chunks for a common layman to understand what do they really mean?
So I think it's usually divided into three phases. There is winter season,
Mm,
then winter season, then we go to the spring season, then we go to the summer season. So with the winter season, it's during this time of the call, and this is where, if you're an athlete, this is where you build your base during winter
mm,
season. This is when you can do like lots of long run without getting hurt. It's it's not like running long distances during summer. So with winter,
mm,
the weather is good. You can do lots of training, and this is what carries athletes now throughout the seasons, throughout this summer season. Because if you've worked so well in winter, even if you get injured
mm,
around like during this spring period or during summer season, it won't affect you mostly because if, for example, you take 2 weeks off, then you go back during this summer season, you still have this base that you laid on during winter. So cross country is just running on the grass, mud, hills, cross wood and bushes. That's what I can talk about. That's what I can
yeah.
say. And
Mm,
it's during that winter season, during that cold season. So that's cross country. Then road races, just running on the roads. We have lots of road races.
mm,
That's now during spring when we are now transitioning to track. And then during summer season, it's now track season. There are
mm,
no road races, so track lots of these sprints, middle distance, and also 10Ks
Mm.
as well.
So if somebody is out there and they're wondering how, let's say I don't know whether I can say I'm a runner. I love running, but if I try to divide it into the way you divided it, I don't really follow all that cycle. For me, I run basically go out there, do my 5K or 10K, I'm back to the house. But if you have somebody that has never participated in running at all, but they're listening to your story and they're feeling like, you have heard a transformation from being somebody that was kind of seen to be on a bigger side into now doing competitive sports, into talking about like all this coaching. And maybe one day people will see you on the TV running,
Yeah.
carrying the Kenyan flag on one of these Olympics or wherever it is. That's our prayer. But if you're talking to somebody that has never ever walking up from their house to go out to run and you're trying to give them as a beginner guide, let's say, so to say, is there any way you can break it down, just simple steps on how somebody can start to build running as a regimen or a regime?
Okay, to begin with, I can say first thing, it's all about passion
Mm,
and self-belief. Don't doubt yourself, and never say never,
yeah.
because you might think that I'm not capable of doing this thing, and yet you are able to, because I never knew that I would run, to be honest.
Mm,
So
mm,
what I can say is that if you are starting, actually, also when I was starting, also from the plan and the program that had been given, you had been told like you need to do like a 60 minutes long run, and you had never like done that before. So when you start, it's good to like start with how your body feels.
yeah.
So you can just start. Don't push your body too much, because if you build push your body too much and it's not used to what you are trying to introduce it into, it's
Mm,
gonna break down and it will hurt so many things you. So
yeah.
it's just better, just like a child, a child isn't born and starts talking and starts walking immediately.
Mm-mm,
It takes a
mm,
process for them to develop until they become adults. So as with running, you can just start, you can decide, it's my first time running. Not no need of you like running 30 minutes fast pace. You can just start, okay,
mm,
30 minutes, just an easy slow pace, and just go with it. If you feel like, oh, I'm feeling this is too much, then you can just stop down,
mm,
relax. Next day you build up. That's how you build yourself. Even for an athlete who's come back from an injury, they don't, okay, even if you're that top and you come back,
mm,
for example, from an injury, you just don't start immediately. You'll start
mm,
building it up slowly and slowly, then you pick
mm,
it up again so that you
mm-hmm.
continue what you are doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and just another thing, like if you're doing a regimen as well, establishing like a routine so that running can become part of your lifestyle. Um, what would you? And I know, of course, people don't take this as like Kevin has told me, so I have to do it, because I usually say everybody's journey is different, and you might want maybe to talk to a personal trainer or talk to somebody who understands a little bit more of your journey and your story, that can be able to advise you, like maybe to say try this, try the other. But if somebody is starting again as a beginner, so they want, the passion is there and they've started it day one or something like that, do you advise them to run every single day, or should they take a day off from running, or how can it be so that they gradually can ease themselves into a running routine?
Oh, okay. So, well, with let me say, athletics, a proper runner, it's
Mm,
different. So, yes, you need to take rest days, because if you don't take rest days, also it will break you down. So,
mm,
once you have been training, like for example, throughout the week, it needs to get inside you and work so that it builds itself inside you. So, you need to
mm,
take breaks. So, even someone who is running, you can't be like running every day consistently, because when you're running, the organs that are involved in your body, like heart.
yeah,
So it's, even if it's beneficial for your heart when you're running, but it's also important for yourself to like take a day off to
yeah,
rest, and
yeah,
also for the organs to relax, also for your
mm,
muscles to relax. Because if, for example, you run so much, the lactic, you don't get any rest days, it will just break. It will reach a point. You'll be okay for some period of time, then it will just reach a time that your body is tired and it can't take anymore. It's just like for example, a machine that's running in a
Mm,
company. If a
mm,
machine gets tired, it just breaks down by itself, and you
yeah,
start wondering what's wrong, with what has happened to this machine. So that's how the body works. So
yeah.
if you don't get rest, the body will force you to take rest by itself.
Absolutely. And it's something strange because 3 days ago, I was talking about fasting. Why is it important for people to rest their digestive system? And I was saying a similar thing that sometimes we just keep on eating, 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 eating. And if you just keep on going, going, going without a break, it gets to a point it can break down, isn't it? That an organ can break down or things like that. And that's why rest is important. Of course, it recovers the muscles and things like that. But generally, when you have a rest day, so let's make this very practical. When Kevin has a rest day, what do you do on your rest days?
Uh, okay, since it depends because sometimes if you're going to school or you're, for example, you're working, you can't sleep. So during rest days, and mostly it's usually on Friday according to my program that I've been
Mm,
given. So my rest days, Friday, I do nothing. So, but if I'm going to school, I just go to school. So you just need to rest. Don't
mm,
run, don't engage your body on anything. Even if
mm,
it's like leisure, you want to go swimming, don't swim because swimming is still sports and you're still
yeah,
using your muscles. So unless you want to engage something mentally,
yeah,
something mental, so something like playing games, not something that will make you engage physically, but
yeah.
if it's something that will engage your mind, that's really good. But rest day, most of the times it's just sleep and eat. Eat
Sleep and
healthy
eat.
food, yeah.
That's perfect
Even
place
even
for
even
me.
like for example, if you go for a race, or if
Yeah.
for example like tomorrow you're supposed to rest, it's important for you to like rest a day before and a day after that race. So that's it.
Mm. Wow. And that's why, like, for example, I have before a long time I was like, I just want to continue doing this because I really want to share the knowledge that I have with myself and blah 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 blah. But then recently I started reaching to a point. It was like, Claire, you need your Sabbath. And that's why, like, I don't even do live streams. I'm doing a challenge for 30 days, but I've decided Sundays for me is like a rest day, no
Rest day,
live
yeah.
streams, nothing, because it's like sometimes just switching off from something and then switching back on. I'm not very good at resting for sure from running because I do like very short runs. I don't do like very long runs and things like that. So I just find myself sometimes just going and going and going. And when I like last week, we came into Coventry, just a brief visit to Coventry, and then on Sunday I was like, I'm not gonna run. I'm just gonna walk. And I walked back through the streets and around, and I felt on Monday when I went back to run, I was like, oh, it feels like a brand new person running because that the muscles are rested, your mind is rested, and that's why I cannot overemphasize as well, including rest in your regime because it's really, really important. And now that we've talked about how to build it, start slow, start small, don't just start all of a sudden picking up everything and you're like, go, good, we go, and things like that. I want to talk a little bit about feeding because I did a video, a live stream a few days ago, and I was talking about how to still exercise when you're doing, like, let's say, intermittent fasting. You can't be able to exercise. And somebody sent me a very interesting message today asking me about workouts. And they were asking me, like, so at what point do you eat? Do you eat immediately after you finished a workout, or do you stay after a workout before you eat and things like that? And I just want to hear from you, doing this from a really performance athlete point of view. At what point do you eat? And when you eat, when you're eating, what do you eat during the training days, during the resting days? Do you count your calories? If you're counting calories, how do you account for how much requirements you need and things like that?
I think an athlete eats anytime you feel hungry. Because let me be honest with you, I've gone training, and I did it once. I learned a lesson, then I did it again because I felt like, oh, that was not a lesson enough.
Yeah.
I said to myself, I'll never go training without eating.
Mm,
Never go training without eating. I remember, especially if you are going to do speed work,
yeah.
you will literally fall down, your intestines will hurt, and you
Mm,
can even like throw up. Because I remember I once went training, we were doing speed work. Even if it's 200 meters, 200 meters is short. It's a sprint, so you have to
Yeah.
go out very fast. So it's 200 meters, 30 seconds off, then another 200 meters, 30 seconds off, then 200 meters. Then it's when you get a long rest. So you have to go hard, and then if it's the first rep, or that's what I can say, it's that
Mm.
you're really fresh, so you want
Yeah.
to go really out fast. So you go out fast and you start feeling a stitch on your belly, your intestines start
Mm.
hurting because you have not eaten. So it's really good for you to eat before going for training. If you don't eat, you might even fall down and pass out.
Yeah. Because
Then
that's,
I've also
yeah,
okay.
go for it. Yeah.
Then also after training, it's also important for you to eat, because remember, you have burned your calories. Also, if
Mm.
it's the proteins that you ate before going for training, you have used that energy to work on them. Also,
Mm.
carbohydrates are bodybuilding. It helps what's built the muscles. Also like you used it for training. So that's why I say it's good for an athlete to eat before,
Mm.
after,
Mm.
anytime you feel hungry. Just
Mm.
don't. Okay, it's good to like teach your body some manners with eating, but it comes to training, it's really
Yeah.
important for you to eat, because also like taking vitamin D's,
Yeah.
especially that's what my coach told me. Like, we Africans,
Mm.
with people of color,
Mm.
we tend to be here in, like, for example, in Europe. But in Europe, the amount of sunshine
Yeah.
we get here, it's not like the same amount of sunshine back at home.
Yeah.
So it's little sunshine, but
Yeah.
still our skin is trying to protect us from the sunshine, so we don't get
Yeah.
enough vitamin D.
Yeah.
So also, that also can make your bones become weak and they're
Yeah.
not strong. So
Yeah.
I started feeling some bone pains a while. Then that's when my coach told me I need to take vitamin D. I didn't know
Mm.
that. So from there on now, he told me I need to take like vitamin D at least 8 months in a year. So
Wow.
that's because of the amount of sunshine here doesn't like go well with, doesn't get in our bodies so well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to jump on there and say, like, again, if you are there, because I know a similar thing I've been told by the doctors myself. There isn't even anybody who was a personal trainer or coach that was saying that. But just usually because you can get vitamin D, as Kevin has mentioned, through the sunshine. But the problem is that if you're living, for example, in Europe, most of the time we have 4 months of summer, more or less, plus or minus, it just depends when it decides. And then the rest of it is going to be colder, and not even that, most of the time we are indoors, isn't it? We are working indoors, we are out, we are running, yes, but you're running very early in the morning, you're training in the morning or in the evening and things like that. And because of that, it gets to a point that you're not exposing yourself to those time. And of course, the sunshine doesn't come with vitamin D the whole day. There are periods of time where you'll get the vitamin D so that it can be converted and your body can use it. But then if you're not exposed even in that duration of time, you will not be able to get it. Even if you go, you might just get UV rays, which can actually predispose you to things like skin cancer, etc. And so if you are kind of thinking about it, it might be again another thing I usually just say, go to your doctors. I do that a few times a year. I go to the doctors, I say, we are coming into winter, can you do a blood type for me? Just want to see how much vitamin D do I have, how much iron do I have, all these kind of things, so that when I'm going into the long period of winter, I know that I have enough reserves that will push me throughout winter. And then I do the same thing at the beginning of summer, just to know that I have enough and things like that. So if you're there and you're listening to us and you're watching this, you might be thinking like, I might have problems with my bones and things like that. The first port of call is quickly just go to a doctor. And then, of course, they are recommended daily vitamin D intake is 10 microgram per day. And that's very easy for you to get it if you're having your food and you're supplementing your food. Things like mushrooms, etc., can be really good sources of vitamin D. But of course, if you are suspecting anything, it's easy just to go and have a chat with a doctor. A simple blood test will tell you what is needed. And maybe for some of us, we might want to consider doing this, particularly if you are a person of color, you have a darker skin, it might be something worthwhile doing. And so going back to you, to like, let's say a normal training day, as you say, you eat before and eat after. And one thing I picked out of this, and it's also the answer that I gave to the person who was asking me, I said, it depends really on the intensity of your workout. Because if you're doing like what Kevin was explaining, high intensity interval training, you need that energy back. You need the energy before, and that's why I usually say I take carbohydrates, let's say the night before to process them, and then proteins after my workout so that I'm rebuilding muscles. But what do you typically eat? Like, how does your meal look like before and after training? Do you prioritize on carbohydrates? Do you have more like rice and whatever, or how does just like a plate for you look like before and after training?
So before training, I usually eat so I'll take like a full balanced diet of
Mm,
carbohydrates, proteins, then take vitamins, then take lots of water after
yeah.
that,
Mm-hmm.
just to help my body well. And then after I can just come maybe grab a snack. So a snack could be of vitamins. Then, for example, if it's proteins, just make some proteins or
Mm,
carbohydrates. So with this now, I don't take like a full balanced diet. So it just depends what is available at the moment. So I'll just take
mm.
notes and then that's it.
And I think I love the whole idea of eating what is available, because that's one of the things I'm a strong believer. I say I go running because I don't have to pay for it. It's free of
Yeah.
charge. I love eating food that is healthy, and healthy food doesn't have to be expensive. So it's not necessarily like it has to be like very expensive protein bar for me to be able to get my protein after exercise, because you can actually go and have a glass of milk after your exercise. You'll have your calcium there, you'll have your protein in there, you'll have still some sugars in there, versus going to buy still a protein bar which will cost you £2 and you'll only have one thing in it. So it's kind
Yes.
of making those informed ideas and suggestions and thinking like, okay, do like for me, I love bananas. So when I come back from running, I want to replenish my energy. I just have a quick bite of a banana, and that's potassium in there. There's some energy in there. And at the end of the day, by the time I'm going to have, and I have also my protein shake, it's just something that I know, like I don't have to really make it complicated. It just can be, you don't have, I say, you don't have to rob the bank to eat healthy. Use what you have. And I love what Kevin was saying, is what is available. And if you feel like what is available is not enough, you can just maybe have a boiled egg after exercise, isn't it? An egg is a complete protein. It has all
Yes.
the amino acids that you need in there, and that can actually fuel you. And of course, if you are a vegan and you don't eat eggs, or like maybe you're in a specific diet, there are so many substitutes. I say like things like soya, and that can help so well in a sense. And so as we try to bring this towards a wrap up so that I don't end up taking more than your hour, Kevin, I know you're a very busy person, and I'm so honored and privileged to be sharing this platform with you tonight. I just wonder if you want to speak a little bit about how do you balance all these things. There might be a young man there in their early 20s or mid late teens, early 20s, who is trying to think of how do I start life, who is thinking maybe they want to go to uni, and then they're thinking like they cannot be able to kind of put everything together, or balance everything together: uni, trying to do exercise, trying to look after maybe their young brothers and sisters and things like that. How do you yourself, because I know you work, you do a bit of work, you do study, you have exercise as well, you do training, how do you balance your life really?
Uh Well, at first I said it comes with passion. So
Yeah.
if you love something, then you'll have to work for it. Then it also comes with a lot of dedication and
Mm,
just planning your things. So like with me, I always look like, okay, training, okay, for example, it's Mondays. I just always say like it's Monday to Sunday training for me.
mm,
Um, though not every day. So, but I just usually say it's Monday to Sunday. And I always put a specific time. I know like from 4 o'clock in the evening, I need to start preparing myself so that by around 5:30, I'm not in the house. So
mm,
from 5:30 to around 8 o'clock, I am supposed to be in training. That's already I know in mind. So
mm,
put that I just like look at my uni timetable. So it depends, with uni timetable. It's not like every day. It's the same time that you have at a class. So you just
mm,
look like, okay, this if it's Monday, for example, Monday classes, let's say, start at 10 o'clock.
Mm,
Okay, well, I'm working. So if it's working, I work from maybe 5 o'clock in the morning to around 9 o'clock. Those are 4 hours. So
wow.
where I work, it's not far from school, uni. So
Mm,
that's I can take, okay, 9 to 10. That's a 1 hour break. So it helps me transition now my mind and also myself if it's I need to change my clothes, if I need to do anything. So this
mm,
1 hour helps me a lot. So from work then to school to uni. Uh, Uni doesn't take more than 3 hours, and it's only one day that a class will go for 3 hours.
mm,
So most of them are usually 2 hours. And then, so probably by around 12 noon or 1 o'clock, you're done. So
mm.
it's, from 1 o'clock to now that 4 or 5:30, you have that time.
Yeah.
So if I'm supposed to do like I'm supposed to do a long run on Monday. So it's either, since right now I'm working, I can't wake
Mm,
up early to go for a long run. So I now have to do like my long run in the afternoon or later in the evening. So I
mm,
just schedule a time during this time. Uh, Obviously, just running for 1 hour. I go do my long run, then come back in the house, change, I take shower, I eat. Then eating, I take 2 hours study.
mm,
After studying now, by that time I know it's already 5:30. So I take a bus, go for my training. Go for training. Monday training takes only 1 hour.
mm,
So 1 hour in training, it's just all about core workouts and strength.
mm,
So I do that 1 hour training and then come back home again. By that time I'm already back home. I look for something just small to eat. Then after that, take shower, get into my books. So I study till around 11 o'clock in the morning. So I go sleep. So that's how I plan. So it's like it's the routine, it's already in me. So at first it could be hard, but
yeah.
already if you already know how things work and how your timetable looks like, it already becomes part of you. So you find engaging these things and doing your task becomes much easier and it's already
Mm.
part of you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I usually say. Like they say, if you don't plan, you're planning to fail. I am a strong believer of having, like, for me, I have a to-do list. Every single day, I try to put down a to-do list and say, this day, this morning, I'll do a drop off to school for my son, and then I'll be teaching if I'm teaching, if I am in session and things like that. And then when I come back, I need to pick up my son from school. I need to make dinner this time. I need to be sitting down to, like, kind of in a way you can basically even start to plan to the top of the hour, but of course also planning time for rest. And that's what you've just said. You plan what time you go to bed, what time you will be at school, what time you will be at work, what time you will be training. It does seem a little bit like a lot of things, but with planning and proper time management, it's something that you can easily find it easy to kind of do. And so if there's a young man out there or young woman out there who's trying to juggle uni or college or high school, all these different things. You're trying to put them all together and it feels a little bit difficult. Kevin has just told you, given you a good example to say it is doable. You can actually combine school. And imagine, like, for him, he doesn't even have a family. Say at the beginning he's a single man. So he doesn't have a family to juggle in between all those things. And as you grow older, responsibilities will grow as well. They stretch you, and I believe so much that when we are stretched and enlarged in life, the more we stretch, the more potential we realize we can even be stretched further. And so, if you are out there and you're watching this and you're feeling like, I don't have time for exercise, I don't have time to have a healthy lifestyle and things like that. Kevin has just showed you how you need to plan that. And if you're passionate about it, passionate about having a healthy body, passionate about having a healthy lifestyle, we mentioned this before. I did a video and I said it's scientifically proven. You need 21 days to establish a habit, then 90 days for it to become a lifestyle. So you might find it difficult for the first 20 days to be fighting to try and juggle everything. And then when you get 21 days, your body says, you know what, Kevin, we can do it. And by the time it's 90 days, it becomes like second nature. I don't wake up in the morning thinking like we have to go to run, because for me, it's second nature, isn't it? And I think it's the same thing for you as well, isn't it, Kevin?
Yes, it is. I also remember when I was supposed to like start on my long runs.
Mm,
This was really funny because you have been given like a 60 minutes run or 50 minutes run. Then you just go out and then like after 30 minutes you're tired. And
yeah,
like, oh, this thing is really tired. I can't carry on. So like I remember I built myself. So then there's like a time after 3 weeks, then I went to 40 minutes. Then like, oh, I can do it. Then I went to 50. So right now, even if like you go out for 1 hour, you find like, oh, this time is just small. Like I can carry on.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just like you just get used to it. It just becomes like part of your lifestyle. It's just inside you, and just feel like if and it's it can even reach like a time if you don't do it, just don't feel okay.
yeah,
Just feel like no, I'm not my normal self today because I
yeah,
didn't do this and I'm supposed to do it. So
yeah.
it's just one of those.
Yeah, and as you said, it all starts with passion. If you're passionate about something, you will make time for it. That's why somebody was asking me, Claire, how do I think somebody was asking another colleague of mine to ask, like kind of indirectly to ask me, where do I get time to do YouTube, to do the things I do and all these kind of things? And I said, it's because of the passion that I have. I really want to share this information. I don't want just to keep it to myself. And that's why I make time for it. I make time to go running because I'm passionate about going for a run. I make time to go for my work because I am passionate about impacting nutrition and food science knowledge to students, even though this is something that pays my bills and things like that. But I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it actually for the passion because I'm like, if I can transform one person or somebody can pick up something from the things that I do. And sometimes when my students graduate, and I remember recently I took over one of the students from a colleague when I joined the new job where I'm doing my current job. And then I was supervising this student. And as I came in, I was just kind of in a way like just giving it my best, spending time with the student, explaining to them, saying, you can do this, you can do that, you can do the other thing. And when she was leaving, she painted for me a beautiful rock, like a blue rock with a very nice picture. She went all out of the way, brought it into the office, and left it with me. She's all graduated. She's graduating, I think, in September. She's working at the moment as we speak, but she's left a mark in my life with that rock that she's made for me, which is a decoration in my house. And
That's really
because you're
good.
doing your work and you're like just being passionate about it, and when I'm gone, isn't it? And it's more of like when you love something, you make time for it. Wow, what a joy, what a pleasure, what a privilege catching up with you, Kevin. So, as we bring this to a roundup, so I don't, again, I said, I don't want to go more than an hour with your time tonight, Kevin. I know you are on YouTube. I don't know about other platforms. You might be on other platforms as well. But if somebody wants just to follow you, because I know you talk about how people can build up a running regime, you talk about how there's the other one I was watching you showing a drill, how somebody can improve their running, run first, and things like that. So if somebody wants to catch up with you, follow you, hook you up, and things like that, you are single and things like that, where can they find you, Kevin?
Well, on YouTube people don't DM, right?
No.
The only comments, I'll just give the
The only
comment on the void, yeah.
comments, yeah.
So on
Well,
YouTube,
but then
on YouTube, just Kevin Omondi. Then Instagram, don't DM. I'll see them, but I won't reply. On
mm,
Instagram, official underscore Kevin Omondi. Yeah,
mm.
it's there's a picture there of my face. Yeah.
Perfect. I will I put the information in the comments or description section, I think, later on. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, and please, if you're reaching out to him, you're not reaching out to send a CV or things like that. You're reaching out to talk about exercise. And I'm sure that Kevin will be more than happy to chat to you. Of course, it's been such a great privilege and an honor for me to host my dear friend. He's not just my only friend, but he's a friend, as I said, he's a family friend of ours, he's a dear friend of ours that we love so much. And a little brother or older brother to my little son, who's an uncle to my son. It has been such a privilege and an honor for the last couple of minutes to catch up with you, Kevin. So as he said, he's on YouTube. You can hook up with him, look out for him, look out for his details. But I know Kevin will be coming back again. I will hook him up with one of these days again to come back to talk about exercise and sports and things like that. And I will kind of bring in a bit of nutrition knowledge as we go along. And I know it's going to be a great time. So if you join me, I see some people are now online, which is great to see you guys online. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you so much to my dear friend, Kevin, for coming over tonight and for chatting to us. I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been such a privilege having, as I said, the first gentleman sharing this platform with me. And I
History.
cannot think of anyone else that will have done it with me
Well, the
apart
pleasure is
from
all
you.
mine. I'm really happy to be in this platform. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I will definitely catch up with you again, my dear friend, at some point. But until then, I hope you have a good evening. And for everyone that has watched tonight, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you who continue to like, who continue to share, who continue to subscribe on this channel. And I said again, look out for Kevin's channel, subscribe to him, share his content, click, comment, and love on him, because that's how, anyway, we can be able to share this information and pass it on to other people. And so we want to bring this to an end. And as I said, to you guys who continue supporting what we do, we dearly, really, really appreciate you. You are loved, you're appreciated and celebrated. And my prayer for you is that you will have a great evening and that you will prosper and be in good health, even as your souls prosper. As I say, tomorrow is Sabbath. You're taking a break from the live stream, so we will not be live streaming anything tomorrow, but we shall be back again on Monday where we talk about something else. But until then, I pray you have a good evening, and it's goodbye from me. Goodbye, and it's goodbye from Kevin.
Bye.
Bye. See you later, my dear friend.
See
Bye,
ya. Thank you.
everyone. Bye.